Good evening, guys. So first of all, thank you for being patient with me yesterday and having to postpone this video until today. I'm going to tell you what I've got game planned. We're on day 12, and so for the next 18 days, what I want to cover and make sure that it's really relevant to you. So this week, my plan is to discuss specific micronutrients and supplementation that can be used to boost the immune system. I'm going to talk about very specific cases. I want to talk about what we have seen with our team, our clients, and what the science says about specific micronutrients. We're going to talk about vitamin C, zinc, vitamin D, vitamins A and K, the B vitamins, probiotics, omega-3s, and quercetin, and how those things, and elderberry, because I get a lot of questions about elderberry, and what those things mean in terms of your immune system, and also very specifically with viruses like the flu or the coronavirus. So that's what we're going to talk about this week. We've also created a very specific immune boosting pack that we are running a promotional special on, and towards the end of the week I'll talk about what's contained in that, what each thing does, and if anybody's interested in that, how they can get their hands on it. My question to you though is, as we move from food to micronutrients, is there something specific you want me to talk about? Is there something you've heard that you wonder if it's even true? Is there something that you wonder if I have experience with, or that I can find the science to support? I want this to be very relevant to you as we transition back to school. So tomorrow my job is to get my kids back to school supplies, because my children will be starting school on Monday, and they will be going to school, brick and mortar. And so if you have questions about the schools reopening, if you have questions about what you can do as a parent, as a teacher, or as a child to strengthen the immune system and support that, I want to make sure that we cover those things. And that's why this week we are going to be talking about supplemental micronutrients and how micronutrients are obtained through food. Because I feel like that's really important for you to understand when it comes to the kind of power and control you have over your health for the rest of your life. Then I'm going to transition into sleep and stress management, because those are vitally important. And I have another at-home DIY video that I'm going to do. Beyond that, I would like to know what is important to you. Do you want me to spend some time specifically talking about what the novel coronavirus 19 really is? And do you want me to fact find and myth bust, because there is a ton of misinformation surrounding the novel coronavirus 19. And for those of you who are clients of mine, you know I've been talking about this since February and myth busting all along. Many of you have been invited to this and don't have the opportunity to be part of that private client group. And so I want to make sure that your questions about COVID-19 get answered, because the more people understand what it is and what it isn't, the stronger you will be, the more empowered you will be, and the less fear will surround this. Because let me tell you, there is absolutely nothing for you to fear. And so we have absolutely everything we need in terms of answers, despite what the media is telling you. So if you have specific questions about viruses, colds, bacteria, even parasites, specific questions about returning to school or work, specific questions about mask wearing, or specific questions related to novel coronavirus 19 or COVID-19, I want you to post those in the comments, so that as we go through this week and I begin talking about micronutrients, I know how to tailor each of those short videos to what's really, really important to you. We're going to talk about customizing a nutrition protocol for each individual, because that's what my team does. We believe that no two people are identical, and therefore anybody that gives you a blanketed statement and says this thing works for everybody doesn't know what the hell they're talking about, and that tells you you really shouldn't trust those people. And that includes your doctors. There is no one size fits all approach to anything, which is why we start every time we talk with someone new with what we call our assessment. The assessment is 200 questions that help us understand your family history, your medical history, and every detail of your lifestyle, or what we call epigenetics, the things that you do every day that modify your genetic expression. Epigenetics is very important. It is the underlying, what do I want to say? The control switch. We say genetics loads the gun and epigenetics pulls the trigger, but the reality is that you are not the sum total of your genetics. Your genetics are actually a very microscopic part of your overall health, because you determine the expression of each of those genes every single day based on what you eat, where you go, what you do for a living, how often you eat, how much exposure to the sun you have, what specific micronutrients are missing from your diet or your life, how you sleep, how you manage your stress, how hydrated you are. Those things tell me infinitely more about your potential to be healthy or your potential to be sick than absolutely anything else. So if you've never done a free assessment with one of our team and you're interested in that at any point during this 30-day program, just drop us a line and let us know. Talk to the person who referred you to this group. Our assessment roughly takes an hour, and it is no cost. It allows us to get enough history and understand your life and your goals to be able to give you educated recommendations and advice. Anyone who doesn't spend an hour with you understanding every aspect of your life, like doctors who spend 5 minutes talking to you, have no idea what's going on and no idea of how to treat or help you. This is what's wrong with allopathic medicine today and why it is completely ineffective, because what they're looking at, the metrics that we're looking at, tell us nothing about the individual or what's happening. The whole body is connected. It isn't that you have a stomach ache and so that's GI. That stomach ache could be neurological. You don't have an autoimmune system and it's just a nervous system problem or a muscle problem. It's always a gut problem, like we talked about before. There's no way you can isolate the systems of the body. Absolutely everything goes into making you who you are. And until we look at every aspect of who you are, it's malpractice to give you advice. This is why the current system doesn't serve us. You can't spend 5 minutes and throw a Band-Aid on top of something. That Band-Aid causes the wound, disease, problem to fester under the surface and become a bigger problem or another problem and add surmounting problems. And when we throw pharmaceutics at things, we only cause more damage because we never uncover the real purpose or the real cause, root cause of the problem. And that is what sets us apart. And so by doing that, we become one of your team in helping you identify exactly what you need and how to solve those problems. Therefore, you become educated on becoming your best advocate and powering through to your optimal health. Because let me tell you, every human body wants to function optimally, and we are the thing that stands in the way. We have the control and the power to make sure that our life and our health is always optimal. But we have to get rid of the misinformation and the mythology that we're clinging to because it's just what we were told. It was what we've been told all along. And a lot of the things we've been told since we were children are just not true. And so this week we're going to start talking about micronutrients in food and in supplementation, what they can do, what they can't do, the fact that most, if not all, over-the-counter supplementation is purely placebo. 95% of all the things you buy in the grocery store, the drugstore, and the health food store do not contain any of the active ingredient. 3 independent studies over the last 5 years have found that nothing you buy that isn't pharmaceutical grade in terms of nutraceuticals or supplements actually contains what you think is in it. That's a scary prospect. So how do you know what to take, where to get it, and that it's really what you need? That is what we're going to talk about for the next week. And then, like I said, I want your feedback on what else is important to you so that we make sure that this entire series stays very relevant to what you want to know. Okay, you guys have a great night. Tomorrow we're going to start by talking about water-soluble vitamins, and then we'll move on to fat-soluble vitamins. And then we'll talk about antivirals in terms of herbals and nutrients, and then we'll figure out where to go from there. You guys have a good night.